Is SAS about to become the next European powerhouse? SAS is currently in the midst of a revolution, aiming to redefine themselves and sharpen their competitive edge to keep and improve their place in the world they currently find themselves in. There is a lot of momentum and attention being paid to this generational transformation, with aspects such as joining Skyteam and a new business class product among others. SAS, which stands for Scandinavian Airlines System, and mustn't be confused with other organisations with the same acronym, aims to bring themselves into line with the new market it faces, and it certainly has an impressive portfolio. But will it be enough to catapult SAS into the position that they're aiming for? Airways magazine was invited to see some of what's being promised for ourselves. The venue for today's great unveiling was SAS's inaugural flight from their base in Copenhagen to the Spanish capital of Madrid, starting service on the 11th of April 2025. This is just one of 28 new routes the airline is planning this year in a bid to revitalise themselves and cement their place as an integral member of Skyteam. Today's flight was operated by an Airbus A320neo and is slated to operate 6 times a week as SK 581 and 582. 2024 and 25 have proven themselves to be era-defining for SAS. In addition to the 28 new routes, there have been updates to their onboard and on-ground passenger-facing products. And, perhaps most significantly, they joined the Skyteam Alliance, serving alongside their new shareholders, Air France-KLM. It's no secret that SAS has somewhat struggled financially in recent years, succumbing to the pressures of low-cost carriers, high operating costs, and an ever-changing working environment. SAS has made significant improvements and changes in recent years, such as with their fleet simplification, retiring their Boeing 737NGs and replacing their older Airbus fleet with newer Airbus A320neos, as well as the A321LR and A350-900. But SAS is far from done there. Short-haul business class is an area that SAS has been lacking in for many years now, instead employing their Economy Plus product. Economy Plus is essentially economy class with a free meal. Other than that, there is little to set it apart from a regular economy class product. With their business class, however, there is set to be a much greater distinction, and this is designed to bring SAS up to the industry standard. In their new business class, which is said to be roughly 90% complete as of this flight, the cabin will be divided off from the economy class cabin with use of a curtain. The middle seat will be blocked off, allowing passengers extra storage, space and legroom, and the onboard meal will be a marked improvement over that of Economy Plus. For reference, the Economy Plus meal is served in a cardboard box with wooden cutlery and comes wrapped in plastic. The meal itself is certainly better than many other economy class meals, but is not business class standard. By contrast, the business class meal served to us on the way to Madrid was a notable step up in presentation and quality, with metal cutlery, ceramic plates and a drastic improvement in the quality of the meal itself. On the flight, we were served a sourdough slice with peppers, hams and a salad, as well as an egg-based breakfast. There was also a vegetarian option available. On board this flight were many members of the press, as well as SAS senior management, including Executive Vice President and CCO Paul Verhagen, and SAS's Head of PR in Denmark, Alexandra Lindgren.
So if you'd like to introduce yourself and say your position at SAS.
Yes, absolutely. Paul Verhagen, Chief Commercial Officer of SAS Scandinavian Airlines.
Pleasure to meet you.
I had the opportunity to interview CCO Verhagen, who joined SAS in August of 2023 and has almost 20 years' experience under his belt. Verhagen definitely showed a great degree of optimism on this flight, suggesting that he certainly believes that the airline is on the right track and is doing all it can for itself and its customers. In terms of the airline's new business class, Verhagen and the airline came to the conclusion to implement it based on multiple different factors, such as in-person interviews with passengers themselves, but also changes in the market itself. While he stated that the introduction of Economy Plus was absolutely the right thing to do back then, he recognises that the market has changed, especially since COVID, with markets shifting to a more premium business and leisure travel customer base. So what can passengers expect from SAS's new business class over the coming months and years? Well, lounge access is a priority that SAS and CCO Verhagen would like to emphasise, especially at the airline's so-called outstations, airports that are not their hubs, Copenhagen, Oslo and Stockholm.
Much more access to lounges at what we call the outstations. Today, when you fly our current Plus product, you can get into the lounge in basically Oslo, Copenhagen and Stockholm, but once you get to your destination and you fly back, in most of those places we do not have a lounge exit yet for our customers. On those, for example, today we fly to Madrid. Today we do not have access for our Plus passengers in Madrid when they fly back. Tomorrow, or the 1st of October then, we will also be offering lounge access in the likes of Madrid.
Verhagen especially emphasised that the business class experience should start before boarding the aircraft, with aspects such as lounge access. In addition, other services such as priority boarding, enhanced catering, a blocked middle seat and a welcome drink, dependent on the duration of the flight, are also details that they hope to introduce on the finished business class product. Improvements will also be made to the wider onboard experience. In economy class, SAS will be implementing a greatly expanded buy onboard cafe as of the 15th of April, and will be introducing Starlink high-speed internet to their entire fleet starting in late 2025. This is planned to be free of charge for the airline's Eurobonus members, regardless of their status. SAS has largely completed their transition from Star Alliance to Skyteam already. Having joined SAS on the 1st of September 2024, the transition has not been easy, but has been largely completed surprisingly smoothly.
I think where it was difficult was on the IT side, because there's so much implication from a tool and system perspective, right? Because you have been tied to certain systems for, well, in our case, 25 years since the inception of Star. And of course, to undo that and then to link yourself with 19 different airlines, that is a huge exercise. And we did it in a very short time. So if you look at it from a difficult decision perspective, yes, from an IT perspective, not from a commercial perspective. And actually, yeah, I think if we look back on the biggest scope of things, it went really well. We're not entirely there yet. We still have to iron out a few things, but all in all, it's going very well.
Now that SAS has joined Skyteam though, the airline intends to act in a complementary role to the alliance's other 19 airlines, acting as a so-called network carrier, enhancing connectivity through its 3 Scandinavian hubs. One anomaly in the SAS fleet is their 3 Airbus A321LRs. Originally introduced in late March 2022 to connect smaller Scandinavian cities like Bergen and Gothenburg to larger North American destinations, they have since been integrated into the mainline services from SAS's hubs, complementing their wide-body operations. However, CCO Verhagen certainly did not see them as mere force multipliers after their original use became redundant.
No, hey, that aircraft definitely has a very vital role in our fleet, despite the fact that, yeah, it is a relatively small subfleet. Where it is a great aircraft is to test certain markets, right? Because certain markets are too big to test with a 330 or a 350, which has a much bigger capacity. But this is really a great aircraft to test a certain market. And a good example of that is Boston. We introduced Boston a while ago with the 321. We saw that there was demand. And now we're flying the Boston with the 350. So we basically doubled capacity almost between introduction and what we do today. I think the role of the 321 in the future, what indeed we did in the past was connect what I call secondary Scandinavian cities, so not the capital cities, with big cities in the US, right? You mentioned the example of Gothenburg, New York. I think what we will see more in the future is hub cities of Scandinavia to smaller cities in the US. For example, the Delta hubs. I could see, for example, that we might open Oslo to Boston, and right, that is, by the way, not in our immediate network plans, but that could be a good example of connecting a capital city with a secondary city in the US, where our partner Delta has a good network. And by the way, today we have 3, we are looking at somewhat expanding that number.
Concluding our interview, Verhagen outlined his 3 main goals for the next 5 years at SAS.
Well, so we're on a road to become a premium airline, right? And this fits there, this business proposition on Europe flying, to become a network carrier. So really, right, connect through a Scandinavian hub, which in our case will be the Copenhagen hub. Still be a multi-country airline, right? We will be very strong still also in Sweden and Norway. And of course be profitable and sustainable. I think those are some of the keywords that we will be working on.
Well, I think that's fantastic. That's as much as I've got already. But still, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll enjoy the flight. Thank you very much.
As stated, SAS's venue for their business class test flight was also their inaugural flight from Copenhagen to Madrid, using an Airbus A320neo. The flight was SK581, leaving at 8:50 AM with us arriving just before midday. This is one of 28 new routes that SAS is launching this year across their 3 hubs to 17 different countries. There are some less expected destinations such as Beirut and Seoul, but also routes that SAS has neglected in the past, such as their connection to Greenland. SAS will be commencing operations to Nuuk's new airport between the 27th of June and 29th of August, competing with Greenland's flag carrier, Air Greenland. The SAS summer season very much reflects the airline's wish to better connect Scandinavia, but also to prove its worth as a valuable asset to the Skyteam Alliance. Scandinavian Airlines is not an airline that's happy to be left by the wayside. It is also one that's been honest with its flaws and is willing to work with new partners to achieve its goals. They are not afraid to leave sentiment behind, instead being happy to make the smart decision rather than the emotional one. SAS has hit the ground running with the situations that face them, being proactive and doing their research to ensure that they execute their objectives correctly. They have an enthusiastic attitude, however this is based on research rather than ego. This newfound somewhat bullish nature may well be what propels them to being an indispensable member of the Skyteam Alliance, and breathes the new life that they have lacked for so many years.